Good day. Today I'm going to talk about my new book, Anti-Money Laundering Regulation and Compliance, Key Problems in Practice Areas. It was published this June by Edward Elgar, the UK publisher. It reflects my decades of experience in the finance industry, first as a corporate lawyer, then as a financial regulator at the SEC, and then as a compliance officer at Moody's Investors Service. It also reflects my teaching. You can find out more about my background on my website. Today I'll highlight 4 unique features of the book which I believe will be of use to practitioners and students of anti-money laundering compliance. First and foremost, the book places anti-money laundering regulation and compliance in a holistic context. The philosophy guiding all of my work, both as a teacher and as an author, is to help my audience understand how all the moving parts interact with each other so that they can then tackle the details of the subject of interest. You'll see the forest before the trees. Second, the book is comprehensive and in-depth where it needs to be. In this, it follows the approach of my first book, Bank Regulation, Risk Management, and Compliance, published in 2019. I found in researching the book that many anti-money laundering guides are somewhat detached from the governing regulatory framework. In contrast, my book comprehensively covers regulatory requirements and agency expectations, which are a prerequisite to translating them into effective systems of risk management and compliance, such as we find in the BSA's 5-pillar compliance program. Third, I explain how AML and sanctions compliance follow the general trend over the last 2 decades in financial regulation of integrating firms' corporate governance systems into the governing regulatory framework. Regulators, for example, emphasize the key attributes of effective corporate control functions, risk management, and compliance. That is, their independence, authority, credibility, resources, and direct access to the board of directors. Making these attributes effective is the role of corporate governance. Similarly, risk management has a separate chapter because it is so essential to AML regulation in implementing FATF's risk-based approach. In that chapter, I devote an entire section to model risk management, reflecting firms' growing reliance on machine learning and AI compliance solutions. Fourth and finally, the book's contents are organized logically with numerous case studies in order to help readers develop a richer understanding of AML compliance and sanctions. For example, the chapters increasingly reflect AML's risk-based framework. Corporate governance, risk management, and transaction and sanctions alert monitoring comprise the last 3 chapters. As you can see from the diagram, after the introductory chapter, chapters 2 and 3 describe the regulatory and supervisory framework for anti-money laundering and sanctions compliance. The book then turns to the record-keeping, reporting, and information-sharing provisions, which are among the most prescriptive rules of anti-money laundering and sanctions regulation. It then turns to the BSA and sanctions compliance programs, followed by the chapters on corporate governance and risk management. All of these chapters are preliminary to the all-important outcome of anti-money laundering and sanctions compliance programs, the reports which will assist the law enforcement authorities in their investigations and enforcement actions. Text boxes illustrate key concepts throughout the book. Here are 2 examples. Box 5.3 is a capsule summary of the Treasury Secretary's authority to designate foreign jurisdictions, institutions, transactions, or account types for which U.S. financial institutions must adopt enhanced compliance measures. Box 6.1 is an example of how one financial conglomerate's board of directors' target return on equity overrode anti-money laundering compliance, resulting in severe underfunding and resources. Thank you for taking more time out of your day to find out more about my book.